Today we're gonna make the best pumpkin spice loaf. I mean, the best ever. It's amazing. It's full of spices and pumpkin, and it has that beautiful texture that's soft and chewy and just like a little bit of crunch on the outside. It's everything. Let's get into it. So we're gonna whisk our dry ingredients together, and then we're gonna whisk our wet ingredients together, and then we're gonna bind them and we're gonna bake them. How easy is this? First, let's prepare our pan. I'm just gonna use a little nonstick spray here, give it a coat. And then I'm gonna line my pan with sugar. Now, you don't have to do this. You could leave it without the sugar, but we're not gonna do that here because the more the merrier. And all I'm gonna do is kind of like tap it around. So we're just kind of coating the sides like you would with flour, but it's not flour. It's better than flour. Okay, all right. But now we've got our pan. She looks beautiful. We're gonna set her right here because we're not ready for her yet. Now we're ready to make our batter. So I'm just gonna whisk all the dry ingredients together first. So I've got AP flour here. These are cloves and allspice. I ran out of little bowls. Cinnamon, a not insignificant amount of cinnamon. Ginger. And this is nutmeg. I usually like to use mace, but pandemic, so here we are with our nutmeg. They're from the same plant. Baking powder, baking soda, and salt. And then we're gonna whisk it together. Look at this. And then we're gonna whisk our wet ingredients together. So first I'm gonna start with my eggs. Just gonna give those like a quick whisk. Whisk my oil in. This is vegetable oil, canola oil, whatever. Just as long as it doesn't have like a very strong flavor itself. And then we've got light brown sugar and regular sugar. Go ahead and dump those in. Just whisk it in there. Basically, you're just trying to get rid of the clumps. So I've got all my sugar in there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and put in my pumpkin. So normally I make actually a double batch of this, and it uses 1 can of pumpkin, because I like to think that my neighbors or friends or whatever also want a loaf of pumpkin bread, but you know, you could also just freeze it, keep it for yourself. So I've switched to a spatula, and then I am going to add my dry ingredients here, along with, this is water. You can use an immersion blender or something like that for this, but it does overwork your batter a little bit, and you're not going to get quite as nice of a final product. You do want to try and avoid the lumps. All right, and that's our batter. That's it, we're done. Ish. So I'm gonna I like to bake my breads and stuff like that on a baking sheet, just because sometimes, you know, if there's spillage, like I'd rather clean this than that. We're just gonna pour this into our batter, into our prepared pan. This makes 1 loaf. And now our bread is ready to go in the oven. So I've preheated the oven to 350 degrees convection, and we're just gonna pop this baby in there, and she'll probably cook for like a solid 45 to an hour. You know, these breads, they're kind of like banana bread, and they just kind of take like, you're like, I just want you to be done, and they aren't. So I'm gonna check her in like maybe 20 minutes, and we'll go from there. Okay, so our pumpkin spice bread is out of the oven. It took about 45, 50 minutes. And so all you do to test it is kind of put in a cake tester and pull it out and make sure that there's only just a few clean crumbs. There's no streaks of batter or anything. You can also do this with a Q-tip, but these are awesome for everything. And now we let her cool 10 minutes, and then we'll pop her out. Okay, so it's time to pop her out. Do we see what's happening here? So we're gonna wait for her to cool completely. It's probably gonna take a couple hours, but then we'll cut her into her. it is the moment we've all been waiting for because the smells are just like, oh, it's to die for. So we're ready to cut. Do you hear that perfectly crispiness? OMG, are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? I can't wait any longer, it's been too long. It's full of spices with like pumpkin, and it's soft but like a little crispy on the outside from where we put that sugar. It's to die for.